Next thing I'm going to work on is the heater and AC blower motor. This is the old one, and it's pooched, pretty seized up. So it's got to be replaced. And the thing about it is, I should have paid attention to the way it came out a little bit better, like exactly whether the motor was like this or like that. Okay, I need to know that. I'm going to kind of take it up into the top of the cab and hold it and kind of dry fit and just see which way it should likely go, and try and adjust the new one accordingly. The other thing is, I'm not sure whether these the hamster wheels here go like this or like that, because they're directional, and we have two of them. It'd be easy if it was just one, I think, but it'd be obvious. But with two, I could get it on backwards. So I've got to get the motor in right, like this or like that, to make the connections and to make sure it's spinning the right way. And then I also need to make sure I get these on the right way. So this housing will help me a little bit with the direction that these should go. So I'm hoping that I can figure that out instead of having to install it and then take it apart again. All right, here's some things I needed to know. This is the underside of the I guess the housing for the fan from up in the top of the tractor cab. It goes like this, so back of the tractor, front of the tractor, and that means that the scoop thing looks like it's designed for the wind to be blown that way down, right? Not coming this way. So we want it to go down, and I have a feeling then our hamster wheels would be set up so that, let's see, this guy here would be left side, right? Because the leading edge of the fin is on toward the outside, and so it would go that way. And then it's going to scoop the air. I guess make a high pressure in front and a low pressure behind, kind of like an airplane wing, and then whoosh, with that pressure difference, it's going to be able to suck and draw the air. This one, if it was this way, that would be backwards, so it's going to have to go on like that, right? So yeah. Now another good thing, I took the old motor up and I noticed that its wiring assembly needs to come out of the housing on the left-hand side. You can tell by the way the wires are naturally bending. They want to plug into a connector that's up there, so that housing would be like that, and then so that's good. And then this new motor is virtually identical, which is good. So it's and it has a directional arrow on it as well, so that was awesome. So you can see that right there. So it's turning the motor shaft will be turning that way, and that's the way I want it to go. So this needs to be there, and then there, right? And set up just at the right spot with an Allen key. And so what I did was I measured, and then on the inside, so this won't interfere with the the hamster cage sliding over. That was 1 3/4 inches. I put a piece of electrical tape, and I can fish that out later if I need to. So my next move is going to be to make the electrical connections. I want this plug, so I'm going to snip. I'm going to snip these leads off the old motor and keep this plug. As you know, like I'm going to assume that the plug's fine, hopefully, and that wasn't the motor's problem. And then these wires are marked on the body of the new motor. We've got our black and our red, which is fine. The orange lead is high speed, the yellow lead is medium speed, and the red lead is low speed. Okay, so that's the way it's going to be set up. I've got my butt connectors here. I've got my heat shrink and hot glue gun, and then the torch to melt the heat shrink. So I'll do that up, and we'll get ready to bring it up into the cab. There, the connection's made, and I just had to be careful, because I went to snip the wires from the old butt connectors, and to me they're really similar in color. So I was having trouble. Like, I'm red-green colorblind, so I did them one at a time, fortunately, because I could have been mixed up pretty easily. So yeah, there's the connection made to the plug. Now, a couple of things I noticed on this motor. Right here, there's nuts, hold down nuts in the motor housing, and on this side there isn't. And so that was my left and my right, the way I thought it was going to be going in, given that direction arrow right there. And that kind of agrees with this motor. So there's an extra nut. Let's see, can you see that? An extra nut here on the right hand side, where there is just the one hold down on that side, and like a little rubber plug, but that's it. So that makes that motor very similar to this new one. The big difference I see is a big heavy plastic kind of grommet on the end of each shaft, and I'm not exactly sure what that's there for. But another unusual thing was it came with so much wire that I had to cut off, which is weird. I always thought that stuff that you buy as replacement parts would come with a minimum wire length. But anyway, so that'll give me a little wire to work with on other things. So yeah, the next thing will be to get these, well, I don't know what to call these aluminum pieces mounted on the motor, and get the hamster wheels mounted, and see if I can't get this as a next step ready to go back in the tractor. It's -8 right now, and I've been working. Well, I always pretty much work without gloves, but my feet are getting a little cold, right? So -8 Celsius. So I'm gonna just take a little break and go into the house and warm up. So I think I've got the order worked out here for how to reassemble this thing, and I remember it was a little bit unusual. Like, there's a specific way that this has to be put together. So here I am with my connecting wires coming out of the left-hand side, and I've put the motor through from the left toward the right. As it went through, I fed this aluminum flange onto the motor, because it has to go between the motor and the sort of like a motor mount and the hamster wheel. Then from this side, the right hand side, I fed the the hamster wheel through, and I don't know if we could see it. No, not quite. But I've got an Allen key just right there, and I'm tightening that up on the shaft. So in order to make it pretty tight, I've just got a small crescent wrench, and I've done like so, and cranked it on there. I use two hands to do it, but anyway, that's the plan. Okay, so my next move will be to take this hamster wheel and shove it through to the right as far as it'll go, and it'll end up sticking out over here, and that'll give me room to work on this side with the left-hand hamster wheel. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I fed this off through to the right. Now what I want to do is, where's the Allen key. Okay, so a set screw, I guess, really. So, I have two flanges now. One is on the right hand, really on the motor side, and to the right of the wires coming out. And this one I just fed through, and I'm gonna, to make sure there's room, I'm gonna shove it as far back as I can toward the motor without damaging the wires at all. And I've got to be kind of careful with the hamster wheel as well. Okay, so set screw up, shove this guy in. Now, you'll remember I put little pieces of red electrical tape to where I noticed on the old motor shaft where the hamster wheel had sat. And so I just lined it up right there with that. And now I can just see my shaft. I'm going to give the motor like a little bit of a turn here. And get in there. I'd like to have a longer Allen key, but I just don't. So anyway, so I'll finish that up. I'll attach these flanges on each side, and then these are motor supports. I'll put those in place as well, and they have the holes to attach the frame of the motor to these mounts. So yeah, let's see how that goes. That was really fiddly. So, man, it was brutal. What was tricky was those motor mount bolts, or nuts on either side. It's hard to tell right now, but there's just no room in there. So, geez, what I had to do was, you can see where those mounts are attached over here, right? So I left that nut and the other one out until the end on both sides. And stuff I used, needle nose pliers and a long skinny screwdriver to kind of hold the nut flat. And I just tried to thread the nut. So those, where are they? That nut on each side on straight and not cross thread, which I didn't. But that was just a little bit tricky. That took me an hour, I think, something like that. And that was with a lot of just extreme patience to try and make this work. One thing, I had this side tightened up quite a bit, and I felt like it was too tight and maybe affecting the shaft on the motor. I don't know if this housing is it could be deformed a little bit. I don't know, but I backed it off a little bit. So there you go. We're ready to plug this guy in. So I've got to get the shop vac up here. This is the top of the cab, and it's a bit of a mess. A lot of dust up here. If you look here, so just tons of dust. And that's also true with the heater core here. I guess that's a heater core, yeah. It's super dusty. So I think what I'll do is first shop vac and then get the air from the air compressor and see what I can clean up. That's the next step. bring this blower assembly up. That's it, a few screws, and make the connections on that plug that we put together. Okay. These are really hard to reach screws, so it was a lot easier to take it out than to put it back in. So I'm just gonna drop hot glue right there, and we'll just let that harden up, and then I'll put it in, and I'm sure that'll snap whenever I want up there, but it'll let me get that screw into position. Come on, there you go. There you go. Well, there it is, installed. That's awesome. That is just friggin' awesome. So nice to have that in there. That was a pain in the butt, to be honest with you. That was pretty tricky. Light up the electronics fan. Oh yeah. There it is. Blowing like crazy. Right on. Okay. Medium. Whoa. It's intense. Alright, that's quite the fan. Holy crap. Wow, that's nice. Okay, done.